Welcome to our wonderful panelists, Mia, Anna Maria. How are you feeling today?
Thank you. We're feeling great. We're very excited to share our knowledge and insights about this topic. It's been a hot topic these days. We get a lot of a lot of our clients ask us what can we do about data discovery. How can we be more efficient? How can you help us? And this is something that we're going to touch upon today.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine. Anna Maria, yeah, you
And
wanted to say
for
something.
me, it's obviously as an AI practitioner, especially in data privacy, it's a very exciting time from a technological perspective. LLMs are everywhere. People are more
Yeah.
aware of what they can do. So yeah, I have a lot of questions from the technical side as well, because people are more informed. So they want to know how we do it, what controls we have in place. So it's a very exciting time for me as well. And I'm really looking forward to the more informed discussions with our customers as well as our partners, etc. It's really, really exciting.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you both. So I can see that a lot of people already joined, so we can officially start this webinar. Again, thank you everyone for joining. I hope you discover something new today. With us, we have Anna Maria. She is head of research in Legit. She has been working for years on building robust AI-powered data discovery technology. So I'm going to ask her later to show us a little bit about unstructured data discovery and how we work with different languages and different scripts. So how do we actually use artificial intelligence, and why is artificial intelligence actually a good choice for data discovery capabilities? Also here as one of our panelists is Mia. Mia is our head of business development in Legit. Mia is the one who has a lot of contacts and interactions with our customers, with partners, even with prospects. And I think she's the best person to speak with when it comes to what is trending, what is it that companies actually need when we speak about personal data discovery, how it helps with privacy compliance, and so on. And myself, I'm Marian, I'm the CEO of Legit. For a long number of years, I have been the product owner, product manager in Legit. That means that I was the person who actually had the most influence into what we are developing, what is on our roadmap. So I would like to start with Mia. Mia, if you are ready, can you tell us a little bit more about data discovery from your perspective?
Okay, and why we're here today, and why we have actually chosen to talk about the topic. Um, well, gosh, where do we even start? Every business today has what we see from our clients is that every business today faces a challenge of finding, managing, and protecting personal data effectively, because what we have seen in this space, this really isn't only just about ticking compliance. It's also about being a business necessity, and it's also about building trust with clients. But here is a problem that a lot of companies face. They don't know where all of personal data is being stored, let alone how to protect it. And this is really where the AI powered data discovery comes in. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. But I would like to take, before we dive into this super exciting topic, I would just like to take a step back just to talk a couple of minutes about who we are, what we stand for, and why the business industries help choose us to help them navigate the complexities of data privacy. So let me just share my screen for a moment. Okay, so that should come up now. All right. Let's just dive straight into this. So, just a few years ago, businesses saw privacy as just another compliance requirement, a legal checkbox. A lot of things were done manually, and people weren't really paying that much attention to it. But all of that has actually changed because today privacy is at the center of pretty much everything. It isn't just about avoiding fines, and we have all seen the headlines with some spectacular numbers, which just keep on going up. But it's also about building trust, as I mentioned earlier, about protecting customers, and about also ensuring business continuity in an area where data is both an asset and a liability, because at the end of the day it's all about how you're handling the data. And we help the organizations basically bridge this gap. We help companies turn privacy from a challenge to actually a competitive advantage, because our solutions help you to build a culture of trust that strengthens customer relationships and enhances business resilience. So why do businesses trust us? Well, we have been recognized as an industry leader by analysts like Gartner, Forrester, Spark Matrix, proving that our technology delivers real measurable value. Let's face it, we believe our tech is great. Our clients tell us that our tech is great, but it's also great to have a validation from an independent source. We work with over 200 clients in more than 40 different countries, and we help organizations across diverse industries navigate data privacy challenges. And also, very importantly, is we help businesses reduce manual compliance work by staggering 90%. So teams can focus on strategy rather than on paper-based compliance. And we believe that privacy shouldn't disrupt your business. It really should enhance it. So our solutions integrate very easily and effortlessly into the client's already existing systems. And let me just take a step back. One of the second most popular question I get is, oh, but how easy is it to integrate your solution into an already existing solution? We don't want to disrupt our operations. And I always tell them it's very, very easy. And maybe we can touch upon that a little bit of later. And of course, we welcome questions from the audience. So I'm not going to take a lot of time here. One of the biggest advantages of our solution, it's industry agnostic and regulation agnostic, meaning it works for any business, any sector, and in any jurisdiction, no matter whether you're in telecom, utility, technology, hospitality. DPM adapts to your unique data privacy needs. But why does this matter? Because regulations are evolving fast. Every industry has different challenges, and global expansion requires a scalable solution. So with DPM, you don't need to reinvent your privacy strategy every time you want to go to a new market, because the solution adapts to your need. So, but let's dive into why businesses struggle with data discovery. Well, let's start with a question, which is a typical scenario that a lot of companies sees. If I ask, if I ask you to find a personal data your company has on a specific customer, let's call her Judith, how long would it take you? Let's just think about that for a minute. Would you be able to pull everything out, like emails, CRM records, chat logs, support tickets, in just a few minutes? Or would it be like, oh, hang on a second, can you come back next week, or maybe better yet, next month, while I find all of this data? So the reality is, the second scenario is actually what we typically see and what we hear of the prospects, because finding personal data is like searching for a needle in a haystack. And this is a problem for two reasons, because both customers as well as the regulators, they expect transparency and accountability when it comes to data privacy. So this is why everything is changing. This is why this is no longer just a legal requirement, because this is really a competitive advantage. Okay. So data privacy starts with data discovery, and you cannot protect or do anything with what you cannot see. And yet, most businesses don't have a very clear picture of where personal data lives. And here is why. It's because data is everywhere. It's in structured systems like databases, CRM platforms, Excel sheets, and so on. But it's also in unstructured sources like emails, PDFs, chat logs, scanned documents, and so on. So manual methods are completely failing here because, and unfortunately, a lot of businesses still rely on manual audits and spreadsheets to track this personal data. This is very slow, it's prone to errors, and it's impossible to scale as the data grows, and data is growing, as we all know, exponentially. There's also the problem of dark data because a lot of personal data is hidden in unexpected places like in attachments, old archives, and even forgotten databases that nobody ever mentions or knows that they exist. And the problem is that the privacy regulation actually demands accuracy because no matter which law or which jurisdictions, they require businesses to know exactly what data they have, where is it, and how it's used. So without proper data discovery, compliance becomes a guessing game. So not knowing where your data is stored, it's not just inconvenient, it's a very serious risk. Uh, and this is why a solution such as AI data powered discovery is not just about compliance, it's also about risk management, security, as well, and a long term business success. So this is where AI comes in, you know, like a hero, Superman, going to solve all these challenges because first of all, it does real-time data discovery because AI in our solution can scan structured and unstructured data sources continuously. It doesn't just find data, it actually understands it. And Ana Maria will talk about that a little bit more. It can classify personal data accurately and reduce the human error. And instead of manual audits, AI provides ongoing visibility into data processing, helping businesses to stay compliant as the regulations evolve. And finally, AI-powered discovery allows businesses to handle massive data growths without increasing compliance costs or the workload, because that's how the system is built. So AI doesn't just meet compliance standards, it gains control over the data, reduces risks, and as well, very importantly, builds a long-term trust with the customers. Because what if you're in the space, what you might have noticed is that customers are actually getting really savvy and on top of regulations, and they're increasingly asking companies to show them their own footprint, how what data they have on them, how that's data being used, and in some cases saying, actually, you know, I don't want you to have this data. I want you to delete all of this data. And again, this poses a huge problem for companies. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ana Maria.
Mia, thank you very much. Before Ana Maria does a demo and shows us, I would like to say a few things and
Sure.
maybe ask you a question.
Sure.
I know how you love when I ask you some questions you're not
Let's
prepared
try.
for. Okay, so
Yes.
So what I was wondering, I think this was a beautiful explanation of why data discovery is needed in the first place, and what kind of problems and challenges companies have in general. I was wondering, from your perspective as a head of business development, working in privacy technology and working with data privacy manager, how does interest in specifically data discovery technology compared to our other offerings like consent management, data removal automation, privacy program management? What would you say is like a percentage of companies that already have some form of data discovery capability in place versus those who see it as a gap they need to fill? Rather, either they don't have data discovery technology, or maybe they are not happy with their current solution.
Yeah, I think, thanks. That's a really, really good question. I think it really also depends where you focus on geographically, because if we talk about places where there have been data protection regulation for quite some time, companies have some kind of solution. They're not very happy with it, and when they actually see what we can do, they're like, oh, I want this yesterday. But they typically have something. Now, how efficient it is, we can discuss that at length. And when we go into the new territories where data protection laws are either coming into the play or haven't been around for very long, we just see only paper-based compliance. So they don't really have anything. And one question actually we then also get is that a lot of clients say, hey, I worked in a non-Latin script. Does your solution actually work? Well, yes, it does. And I think that's super and very important, because I think a lot of people, for some reason, they have this notion that it only works in Latin script, not with us. And I think it would be very important actually to talk about that.
Yeah, I agree. So a lot of it depends on the maturity of the market itself and the industry, depending on how used they are to being regulated. All right, Mia, thank you very much. So,
yes, but can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Yes, and I just want to ask you, or maybe Anna Maria would be a better, because
Probably
what our
should
clients,
probably.
yes, well, full free. But one question we get a lot is, can AI really be trusted to handle sensitive data? What if it makes a mistake?
So I would say that's a topic for itself. I think we could have a webinar on
Yeah.
how to use AI to handle sensitive data, especially personal data. Is it allowed to handle? What does it take to build AI that can, in effect, handle personal
Yes.
data? So I think Anna Maria is a much better choice to answer this question. But one of the things she is going to talk about later on is how we actually trained our AI and
Yes,
what it
fantastic.
takes to actually do classification of personal data.
Great.
So, all right, Mia, thanks again very much. What I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just briefly going to talk about our data discovery and what it actually is before Anna Maria shows you actually how it works. And so stay tuned for the next 15 minutes and I'm going to talk about the technology, but not going into too much technological details. So for all of you who have been working with us with Legit and Data Privacy Manager, you know that we have a pretty structured approach to things. So what we try to do is look at data protection in general holistically, and try to help you automate and govern all parts of it. Now, one of the things that we do is data discovery, which consists of personal data classification, where we actually employ artificial intelligence to do automated classification of all personal data across unstructured and structured data sources. We then build a data inventory, which is kind of a central repository showing you everything about your data landscape. And also one of the new things we have recently deployed is personal data search, actually allowing you to search for specific individual data across all the data sources. So this is what I'm going to talk about. This is typically phase one of our common implementation approach when it comes to implementing data privacy manager software platform. Now, what personal data discovery actually is, it is a software solution that helps you find and categorize data across databases, applications, and documents. And it basically works both with unstructured data. Unstructured data can be different types of documents like Word files, PDF files, textual files, PowerPoint files, images, and so on. And also structured data, which is everything you think of in tabular format, like databases, data stored in applications, Excel sheets, and so on. So our data discovery process actually reads both metadata and data. So one important thing is that when we are doing data discovery and classification, we are actually reading data. So when it comes to unstructured data, we will go through the complete document, download the document and read all the content within the document. And when it comes to structured data, if it's huge database tables, we will sample the data, we will take statistically significant amount of data and actually go through the data. So we don't just take metadata, we lean on actually reading data. Now, the data discovery server, what it does is it does the data discovery. So basically finding all personal information and using models, different models to actually do classification of personal data in those sources. And then once this is done, it's completely automated. It's done very fast. And then all the results get stored in data inventory, which is the central repository with reports and logs. So what we have done is actually used AI to simulate the process of a lot of people actually going in all the data, all the documents, all the tables, reading through it, looking at the data, and then actually creating conclusions and understanding what is the different types of data that is basically stored in every column, every table, every application, every document. So for structured data, I will be brief here. It's tabular data. You have tables, you have columns. The characteristics of structured data is the uniformity, organization, and standardization. And when most of people working in companies as database administrators, as data governance roles, when they think about structured data, they think of order and control. And mostly the feeling is that structured data is under control. However, there are challenges. There are a lot of challenges, especially in companies that have big volumes of structured data. So a lot of different databases, a lot of different tables. One of the problems is that when leaning on metadata, so that will be descriptions of what is stored in tables and in columns, that will basically not always be correct. So especially if a column name is unintelligible, then you can't really lean on metadata. You need to go into data and understand what is the type of data stored there. The second thing is data evolution. Data evolution basically means that business processes change through time. So what was stored in one column, in one table 3 years ago isn't necessarily the case anymore. And also, you have to think about volume. You have to think about performance challenges when we speak about big data. So The practice for a long number of years, even decades now, and again, it's reiterating with artificial intelligence and actually collecting a lot of data to be able to train AI models, was let's collect as much data as possible. So once you have big volumes of data, it is a challenge to actually be able to go through all the data and do automated classification. And one more example is schema complexity and context. You will have situations like, for example, with address information, that distribution of address related information in structured format will be complex. You will have a lot of different columns actually belonging to the same type of information. So for address information, it can be address line 1, address line 2, house number, city, zip code, province, state, and so on. So all of these challenges are tackled with our data discovery in an automated way. Another thing I want to explain is how does the process actually work. So what we do is we connect to the structured data sources, and connecting to structured data sources is done in a very simple way. We have out-of-the-box connectors where you just configure the connection, test the connection, and basically you can start scanning or schedule scans. The scans are done by the data discovery machine, which is deployed as close to the data source as possible. So we never actually want personal data to go to the cloud. We want them to stay where they are. What we do is using the connections and data discovery server, we basically sample data, we do machine learning classification, we use regular expressions, regex matcher to improve the results. We also use validation to make sure that both the combination of the AI-powered and regex matcher results are validated. And basically then everything gets stored in a form of queryable reports, database, and different types of capabilities within the data inventory, which is the central business module within the data privacy manager software. Now, another thing is when you think about our data discovery, and it works both for structured data, which I explained now, but it also works for unstructured data. And when you think about unstructured data, all those same people that think about control and structure when it comes to databases, they will be much more intimidated by the level of control that the company has over unstructured data sources, because they are typically deemed as dark data. Dark data means that you don't really know what is within all those millions, gigabytes and petabytes of documents that you actually have scattered across the company. So what we use is named entity recognition, of course, natural language processing, but also named entity recognition to identify named entities like person, location, organization, and so on within those large volumes of content. Also, context is very important. So when data is unstructured, you can have the same thing with two different meanings. So in this case, I have two sentences which were kindly prepared by Anna Maria some time ago. So Thomas More is a famous philosopher. In this sentence, Thomas More is actually a person. And in the second sentence, today I am attending a lecture at Thomas More. The same thing, Thomas More is actually an organization because it's a university. Again, we have the issue of volume and performance challenges, as we have really seen hundreds of millions and even petabytes of unstructured data being present without any real control with our customers. So also what we have seen with unstructured data is a need to be able to search for specific individuals' data within the documents. And what often happens is that we will have unrecognizable, unsearchable documents, which can, for example, be scanned PDF files and images. So what we have done with our data discovery, we have a new feature recently published, which is called personal data search. And what it does is it helps you find anything in any document. So typical use cases can be to find specific data quickly, to support individuals' requests related to their data protection rights, to manage potential data breaches, so in a way that we can perform large-scale searches to quickly identify personal information related to multiple individuals in the event of suspected breach. We have seen this also in real life, and also to validate data deletion controls, meaning if you want to control whether IT processes are done properly, meaning that you are really deleting or anonymizing data once the business loses justification for processing. What you can do is you can basically search for specific individuals' data and see whether this data still exists within the company's data landscape or it doesn't. So how that works is that we, similarly to the structured data discovery, we connect to the unstructured data sources. We again read both metadata and data. And in this case, when we are speaking about documents, we read all the data, complete documents. What we do is we download the document, we do the OCR, so we transform the images to textual information. We then parse it and we index it. Indexing is very important because it later on allows for very fast searches in all scanned documents. We again do the machine learning classification, use the regex matcher, and we do the validation of the results. And then all of this information gets stored in the same structure, in the same module called data inventory, which becomes the central place for actually querying, finding risks, and understanding data landscape, both for structured and unstructured data. The single search is one of the capabilities when we talk about personal data search. It is very easy to use. It works in a way that you can build and create different filters, whether it's file content, file names, different types of personal data that were identified. You can then combine these searches, for example, searching for Judith in file content and searching for CV in file name, for example, or it can be more complex. And what it does a really fast search using filters. Filters can be stored as named filters to be used by multiple people within the company. And what you get as a result is a list of all documents and snippets of content, which actually show you where the specific keywords were found within the documents. And another thing is that we have the bulk personal data search. The bulk search is more related to making sure that that your data sources aren't a source of data breach. So when you are suspecting a data breach, what you can do is you can take a bunch of data, a bunch of names, email addresses, or text numbers, upload the file to DPM and actually start search in all data sources, and it will give you the result and percentage of found data within your scanned sources, databases, documents, or applications. So I'm sure I wasn't able to explain everything, but let me know if you have any questions. Use the chat feature. What I would like to do now, I'm sorry, is if we can start the poll at this moment. The poll is a few questions for all the participants in the webinar. So while we are continuing with the webinar, please take a moment and answer the questions. And I'm sorry, Mia, I interrupted you. Did you want to say something?
Yes, because there is actually some questions from the audience, and one of them is if we already don't have a connector to a specific database, how easy and how quick is it to create one?
Yeah, well, I mean, everything we do is proprietary technology. Everything we do is our own development. We have a team of people who work on data discovery and this type of connector. So if we don't have any out-of-the-box connectors at this point, typically it takes us one development sprint. In human language, that is 2 weeks. So we basically need 2 weeks to create new type of connector. And when you think about connector, it's like a mini application that just connects data discovery to any new type of system that we interact with.
Excellent, great. Thank you. That's something we often get.
Yes, thank you, Mia. So what I would like to do is I would like to give a word to Anna Maria and ask her kindly to actually give us a little bit more about how data discovery actually works. And if you can show us something, we would be very grateful.
Thank you, Marian, and thank you, Mia. I'm really, really excited to be here because it's a hot topic, right? Privacy and how to handle it with the rise of large language models. And oftentimes I get a question from technically and less technically minded people regarding the capability of our model in comparison to very familiar commercial models such as ChatGPT, Grok, or DeepSeek right now. And one of the things that we really need to stress from a technological point of view is that while these commercial models are obviously great and they are trained on a large scale of data, what they are not trained to do is to find specific personal data. In fact, they explicitly try to avoid giving personal data because obviously that's in violation of so many different regulations and so many different laws. So if you ask about a specific person, they will usually hedge around it. So you have to use words like, oh, this hypothetical person, etc. What we did when we started with data discovery several years back is we built our own model whose only purpose is, one, to identify personal and sensitive data, two, to be very secure and to be proprietary so that we do not depend on the releases of Google or Microsoft or whoever now dabbles in the LLMs. And one of the advantages of having an in-house model is that we can really respond very quickly to all of the different developments that happen in the data landscape and also in the regulatory landscape. For example, if there is a new subset of data that's labeled as personal, we can really quickly respond to that. So I would like to stress that our model is trained specifically for this purpose, and it gives you really a good insight into what kind of personal data you have without necessarily relying on your data. So one important thing that we get from some customers is that, do you use my data to train? Absolutely not. That never happens. We do not use your data to train our model. In fact, we have a whole team that actually builds these training sets and trains the model iteratively. So with that, I would like to show you an example of how the unstructured document actually looks like in our application. So if you will allow me to quickly share my screen, we can see how this actually looks in real life. All right. So I would just ask that you confirm that you can see my screen. It's visible. Okay, excellent. So this is the landing page. I have already performed a search in the interest of saving time. But what you get here is the classification of different documents. In this particular case, this is an English document where you can see that we found specific types of personal data. So you can click on it and it highlights this particular person. And this is something that we later on, as Marian explained, use in personal data search. What we do is you can see the whole document. You can see the formatting of it. So we retain the formatting. So you can actually literally know that it's here in this document on this page in this particular paragraph, which we consider really important because if you want to anonymize or delete this specific data, you really need to know its exact location. So we do not modify the document. We do not do anything to it. We just added a label. And I believe Mia, at the start of this conversation, she had given some insight into a different performance with the large language models, which perform sometimes poorly on languages which are not as heavily studied as, for example, English. So it's not surprising that the English results are good, right? But when we dive into, for example, Southeastern Europe languages, when we dive into Cyrillic script or Arabic script or Chinese script, obviously we face different kinds of challenges. Our model is agnostic. It doesn't really care which kind of language and script you give it because it's trained to handle all of these different scripts and languages. So in this particular system, which I have open here, we have a document which happens to be in Arabic. So we can just quickly look through it. What we do with Arabic is obviously the same screen, but you can see the orientation of Arabic is different. Obviously, it's read from a different side, and we obviously label all of the personal data. And this personal data that we have, we label it with its specific labels, and it's actually modeled the exact same principles as in English. So we retain the structure of the document, we retain its formatting, we retain its particular features as they are, and we just attach a specific label, which you can then use for personal data search, or you can use to identify which kind of data you actually have there. So that's really one of the advantages of having an in-house model, because obviously when you go into different languages, you get different types of personal data. So one of the things that we could include in our model, because we are a proprietary technologies, different types of data that you want to have found. For example, specific numbers, such as the Kama number in the Arabic world. This is something that we can include and we can actually train. So that's one of the things that we can do really well with different languages and different scripts. It doesn't really pose a challenge for us. And one of the things that I really consider very useful. So if we go to the next slide, please, Mia. So once you go to the data inventory, to the landing page, what you can see here is for this particular document, which is with particular server that we scan, you get all of the documents that are on this particular location, and you can obviously classify or search for different types of personal data. So you can see where you have nationality data, where you have address data, where you have different passport data or gender or any other category that you can actually filter by, and you can see the differences. So if you look at the documents can be modified from one run to the other. So you can see the difference of maybe some new document has appeared on your OneDrive in this case, and you can then see all of the data that is available in the new scan. So this is something that we consider very useful to just kind of like see, okay, how the folder changes and what kind of different data appear from one run to the other. And basically, what we ask from our clients is that when they use data discovery, which a lot of them are happy to do, is provide feedback. So we always value and accept feedback as obviously as developers and researchers. What we want is to implement all different strategic points that our customers bring to our attention. So some of the business specific requirements and requests can obviously be obviously implemented, and in that sense, it's very good, because you don't get a run-of-the-mill model. We can actually adjust it to your needs and fix the specific potential issues that you might have with your data, or implement specific features that you wish to have available. So that's one of the things that we're very happy to do. And when we get the feedback of our customers, this is something that I'm very happy to address with my team. So yeah, I think that for training purposes, it's really valuable to have our clients continuously work with us, and in that sense, we ensure that the model is always state-of-the-art in response to all of the different requirements in different industries and in different countries under different legislations. So that's something that I'm very passionate about and very happy to be a part of. So yeah, that's pretty much that for me. I think Marian is right. We could have a whole different webinar on sensitive data training, but I already see that we have some questions, and we have I have to leave some time to answer them.
Thank you so much, Anna Maria. This was very insightful. I think it's it's good to for people to get a look and feel of how it works in order to be able to do a complete demo and to show all the capabilities. We would definitely need a specific and full hour probably of webinar just to do that, and also to talk about the challenges with AI regulation restrictions that we need to keep in mind, different types of capabilities that are becoming available, the trends, the stuff changing every day now with new models. So it's a lot to tackle, and this is something that we are constantly faced with. These are the topics that we are both interested in and that are our daily bread and butter. So what I would like to do is again thank everybody for being here, and let's use some time before the end to try to answer the questions if we have questions from the audience. Mia, are there any questions?
Yes, there are actually quite a few. We have already answered some of them. What would one of the questions that we also get from a lot of companies who are maybe new to data privacy is they to tell us, where do we even begin? What would you say? Where do we begin? Or do you want me to answer that?
I can answer it, and it really depends on the maturity of the customer, the region, and the industry. Something similar to what you mentioned in the beginning. And what we say always the best start and like a safe start is to do an assessment first. And as a part of our standard methodology, we always say phase one would typically be data discovery. Recommended phase one would be typically data discovery, but there is a phase zero. Phase zero is the assessment. We typically do what we call a state of privacy assessment, which kind of measures the maturity level in different areas, categories, and subcategories of privacy and data protection for each company. And for this, we use standard globally recognized frameworks such as the NIST privacy framework, the ISO 27701, and then also local, because the frameworks can be a little bit different as the regulation requirements are a little bit different depending on geography. So you will have some differences between GDPR in Europe and PDPL in Saudi or CCPA in California. But what we do is basically we take the framework requirements, we measure the maturity level, and we produce a set of recommendations for improving the privacy posture and alignment with the requirements. And as a part of this, we kind of create a roadmap for automation, and then probably data discovery is the first step. Some companies will already have data discovery in place. They will have a good stance when it comes to understanding and controlling their data landscape. Some won't. The ones that don't have the real control, probably the first step for them would be to do the data discovery. So I hope this answers the question.
Yes, I definitely think it does. So another question that we have is that does our solution work in real time, or is it just like a batch processing tool?
Our solution is a batch processing tool. So our goal is to have continuous control over new types of business processes, new types of personal data being collected, new locations where personal data is being collected, duplication of personal data, old documents containing personal data, sensitive data, and so on. So we are a privacy-first solution, meaning that our goal is governance of data protection and automation of data protection processes. So how it works basically is that we schedule ongoing scans of data sources, which work in a way that maybe during night or weekends, there will be scans of anything new that has appeared in the data sources. And the right people, the right roles within the company, be it data governance roles, be it data protection officer, privacy operations, compliance, risk, cybersecurity, because all of these roles are in a way connected, they all benefit from having data discovery tool. They will be notified if new types of personal data have been collected, duplicated, or stored anywhere across the data landscape.
Great. Thank you very much. And so this is actually now another question. What are the most common blind spots that companies have when it comes to protecting personal data? And keeping the data private.
I will answer from data discovery perspective. As privacy is complex, there can be a lot of blind spots, but from data discovery is kind of a technical angle from perspective that you can actually connect to the systems and use technology to find everything, versus the compliance and business view where you need to understand the purpose, the lawful basis, the flow of data, something that you cannot always find using just technology. So from technological angle and data privacy, the data discovery perspective, blind spots are most oftenly stores of unstructured data, a lot of documents, a lot of shadow processing in terms of duplicating documents across the data landscape. Just take an example of an Excel sheet with millions of personal data objects, with millions of contacts, for example, and then it gets scattered across the data landscape in the sense that marketing people, salespeople will just exchange the data, and it will get duplicated so many times. But that's just one example. In general, what we see as dark data is unstructured data sources. And when it comes to actually finding one individual's information, so one specific individuals, like my information within my bank, that means that you have to be able to search across everything, across every potentially duplicated document, and find where it is. So that's impossible with this type of technology that we offer.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I think maybe this one is more to Ana Maria. Do you think AI privacy solutions will become a must-have for business, or will they remain a competitive advantage for just a select few?
I think with the current climate in AI, it will eventually become really a must-have, because you would want to keep up with the technology, and obviously, as everyone else is able to do this quicker, faster, and more accurately than you are, and obviously you will want to have some kind of a intelligent way to handle your data, especially if we are looking from the perspective of the consumer. So if you are a customer of a specific organization, people are more aware of their data being used for all kinds of different purposes. And not all of those purposes are actually good in a sense. There were several cases where artificial intelligence models, etc., have been used in-house to train models which were biased, which preferred male employees as opposed to female employees, etc. So with the regulations moving towards more regulatory action on the AI models themselves, you would want to have a fully compliant, ethical model to identify your personal data rather than necessarily using something that is not specifically designed for this purpose. So I think it will remain both the advantage and also like really a must-have.
And how often should businesses be running? I mean, Marian touched on this, but how often should businesses scan their data? How often?
So that really depends on the type of the customer, right? Depending on how much data you have. Obviously, we recommend running these scans periodically, right? So that you can actually stay on top of your data. Obviously, if you have already performed large scans, what we do is we don't repeat them. So we don't go ahead and read your entire database and your entire OneDrive again. So once you perform the initial scan, what you do is you just scan it, and what it does, it finds all the documents that have been modified, that have been changed, added, etc., and scans only those documents. So what it enables you to do over time is to actually visualize and have a confirmation that you have documents which have not been touched for a very long time. They have been not modified, they have not been accessed, they have not been opened. And then you can take control over all of this surplus of data and actually evaluate from your perspective as a customer, as an organization, whether you actually need to have these documents lying around on your drive, which are not accessed, which are not used for business purposes, and which contain personal data, which might be a liability to you. So if you perform regular scans every month, every week, that's really something that a company really needs to decide for themselves, because not all of the companies have the same dynamic of collecting personal data and handling personal data. So we work with them, and then we help them find a schedule that works for their organization.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. This has been a very lively and interesting discussion. Unfortunately, you know, our time is up. Thank you everybody for coming. Please feel free to contact us for any additional questions or anything that we can help you that relates to data privacy. We are here to help. We are also here to discuss. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ana Maria. Thank you, Marian. Thank you.
Also from my end, thank you very much for connecting, and hope to see you on our webinars again very soon. Have a lovely day.
Have a good day.
Thank you, everybody. Have
Bye.
a great day. Bye.